We shouldn't be competing with China. We shouldn't be. We're the United States. And the fact that we're competing with a country with a communist government is a reflection on poor leadership on his end. And it will only continue to get worse if we get another 4 years of him or another Democrat in office.
So let me just give you a couple of quick highlights of sort of things that have been said or done by Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or people on the world stage talking about them. Okay, just a handful here. So a British lawmaker referred to Joe Biden as senile, and he won't remember anything that's happening on this European trip. Kamala Harris did such a poor job south of the border that people in the administration are like, we don't know what she's doing.
We are perplexed.
Yeah, that's exactly.
We are perplexed.
We don't know what's happening. Like, she gets asked, why haven't you been to the border, by Lester Holt, I think.
Yeah, multiple times.
Right. And she says, we've been to the border. And he says, no, you haven't. And she says, as you referred to earlier, yeah, I haven't been to Europe either. You weren't ready for that question, Madam Vice President? How could you not know? Did you have nobody in your inner circle that said, hey, they're going to ask you that question?
That's a good question.
They
don't have an answer. They don't have an answer. And I think there's a reasonable chance that some idiot 35-year-old consultant in there said, oh, just make that point. Well, I hadn't been to Europe either. Yeah. I think there's a chance that was actually orchestrated.
If that's their plan for damage control, that's what they thought of in advance. That's the best they came up with in advance. Wow.
It has to be. I mean, what else?
So Joe Biden gets to, I believe he's in Cornwall when he said this, and basically looks around and says, this is beautiful. I don't want to go home. I'm with you, Mr. President. You stay right there. We're probably better off with you in the UK. But and look, I get the sentiment, right? You're visiting somewhere. It's like you walk in and say, man, you have a beautiful house, right? That's just nice. But what U.S. president, walks into another country and says, wow, it's a lot better here than it is back home. That's just not
You got your own family. You go visit some other family and say, hey, I think I'd rather hang here, fellas.
I got a sleeping bag in the car. Yeah. I'll be right back.
While everybody back home is watching you. It's embarrassing.
And then most recently, or the most recent story that I read that we published on the Western Journal was my favorite probably. Joe Biden just gets entranced by the spectacle of people moving into this area, and he's just watching military formations and whatnot. And Jill Biden is speaking and basically has to stop and say, Joe, pay attention to her speech. Which he then, kind of played off, saluted her, it was kind of cute. But the idea, I mean, it really was like a squirrel moment, right? Like the leader of the free world is distracted by spectacle and can't pay attention to whatever his wife is saying. I mean, and these are the people, I keep coming back to this idea that these are the people who ran on the idea that it's time to get the adults back into the room. Yeah. Right? Yeah. The Trump administration has just been, embarrassing on the world stage. And these are the people who have replaced them after running in part on that platform. So my question to you guys, I'll start with you, Josh, this time. Does the U.S. look better on the world stage now than it did under the Trump administration?
Yes, according to the mainstream media. They were reporting this 2 days ago, I think. There was new survey data that came out. I don't know what they used to proxy how we appear, but oh my gosh, United States approval rating skyrockets internationally under Joe Biden. The problem is that geopolitics is not governed by how much people like you, and the measure of how much they like
how much
you.
The citizens like you.
Well, yeah, and the measure of how much the world likes you, of how much one country likes another, is how much they can push that country around.
Sure,
that's the measure there. So yeah, they may say, oh man, we like the United States a heck of a lot better now. Well, yeah, if there's a finite amount of resources and you're struggling for hegemony, I mean, the Chinese, boy, they probably love us like they never have before. Because they're unopposed now. They can have as many Muslim slaves as they want. They can send them to re-education camps. They can mine them. Hey, I saw a great story earlier today. Yeah, sterilized. I saw a great story earlier today. China controls the rare precious metals mining
Has for a very long
globally, the
time.
market. Yeah. So there's a lithium mine trying to open in Nevada, and it has been stopped, or it's at least been paused by an environmentalist lawsuit.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocking. Of course, the rest of the world loves this. The rest of the world thinks they're competing with us. It's like, it's like the Usain Bolt getting an unbelievable leg cramp. Of course, if you're running against him, you like that. Yes, I like him so
Nice
much better
analogy.
with the leg cramp.
Cameron, what do you think? So, U.S. Gaining or losing respect over the past 5 months or so?
Well, I'll talk about, because we were just talking about the whole Kamala Harris visiting Central America. And I think I was in San Diego a couple months ago. I think I was geographically closer to visiting a migrant facility than she has been throughout this entire time. And
Pithy. Well done,
Yep.
Cameron.
that is concerning. And I think if I made one wrong turn, I probably would have been touring the border. But I think it's one of those things where if you can't have you have all these issues going on in Central America, and she's essentially going there. It felt almost patronizing. Almost, it felt that she had to do it. It wasn't something that she had actually wanted to do. She goes, she meets with these people, and there's probably going to be no solutions to come out of that, despite whatever they want to say. And then, in terms of the G7 summit, a lot of these leaders are, like you said, they are probably absolutely loving to see Biden with all of this right now, because they did not like Trump because he was someone that was unpredictable, whether that was for better or for worse, but they couldn't walk all over him either. And I think maybe with some of the European countries, they were more clutching their pearls. In that situation, they can probably let their guard down with Biden. But the real big concern with all this, like you guys said, is with China. And China is really the one to look out for with all of this. And the fact that Biden has been consistently weak on China is going to be a big issue. And similar to how we've had major international security threats in the past, China is that next rising world leader. And Joe Biden has been asleep at the wheel with them, with real no interest to crack down on them, really understand the scope of what's going on. I mean, the U.S. government has said things about what's happening with the Muslims there, the ethnic cleansing that's going on. But I bet if Joe Biden put something out, he'd be very hesitant, or the language would be kind of toned down, because he has to keep China happy in a sense, and he doesn't actually have any interest in fanning the flames in a sense that would actually get things to lower the temperature a bit and make us the most powerful country in the world, as opposed to us competing with China. We shouldn't be competing with China. We shouldn't be. We're the United States. And the fact that we're competing with a country with a communist government is a reflection on poor leadership on his end. And it will only continue to get worse if we get another 4 years of him or another Democrat in office.